Metal Garden is a game about trying to overcome overwhelming odds. We play as a nomad, traveling through a world completely enclosed by a megastructure. Around us are trees, streams, animals, and remnants of previous civilizations. Above us, beyond the clouds, we can see the roof of this megastructure. The civilizations that inhabit this world have never been able to breach the megastructure's walls or ceiling. This world has also been plagued by warring states and corporations. Life inside this megastructure is miserable, and the people inside only want one thing: to get out. When the game begins, our character's mech has broken down and it's unrepairable, so we gather our supplies and examine the surrounding area. Around us we see grass, rock walls, and a small stream. Above us, off in the distance, we can see windmills and other large structures. And of course, we can see the roof of the megastructure. We journey onward, and in the next area we see a couple of strangers off in the distance. We approach them, but they're immediately hostile, so we have to defend ourselves. After the fight, we examine one of the bodies, and it appears that they're wearing a mask and some type of breathing apparatus. We continue on, but shortly after, we get ambushed, and this time, it's a really big group. We escape the fight, and then we approach what looks to be a camp that's littered with bodies. A battle has taken place here. The bodies on the ground here are different though. These soldiers have the face of a lion, and they carry large, bladed melee weapons. We search the camp and follow a trail of blood, which leads us to a wounded lion soldier, but this one adorns a golden crown, a lion king if you will. This will be the only person who we actually get to speak to for the entirety of the game. It's a really important conversation that sets up the premise for the game and gives us a lot of backstory for the world and the people who live in it. He says, "What humiliation. Defeated but a step from our goal. A betrayal. Can you imagine it? We found it. An exit from this megastructure. The culmination of millennia of searching. A dream of so many civilizations born inside this prison world. I stood at the helm of the great army of my people, my beloved Re Secretorum, and knew the glory was ours. We would find those heavenly fields beyond. An army that has now been collapsed like so many packs of cards, and its great leader receiving ministrations from a wandering mongrel. It's all the fault of those damn sellswords." We had spies inside the Central Serenian Mining Group, the local industrialists. That's how we knew when one of their great dam projects hit a hole in the world. It was our time to mobilize, but foolishly did I march. The mercenaries they hired broke our lines, and the groups of soldiers that we just previously fought are these mercenaries. He continues, "And my men, my own men who were taken prisoner, they turned their swords on me, screaming of my own treachery. The impudency." The conversation ends, and we're left to take in all of this information. It seems like this king just wanted to get his people out of the megastructure. It's not like his army was going to march on an enemy city and lay waste to it. He just wanted to do the best thing for his people. If that's the case, then why did the mining company hire mercenaries to stop them? This sets up the premise that not all people in the megastructure want to escape it. From this conversation, we now know that there's going to be hostile mercenaries and traitorous Re Secretorum, aka lion soldiers, guarding the path ahead. We now leave the king and we journey onward with a new goal to find the exit of the megastructure. Our path forward quickly leads us to an elevated coastal highway. This is the first time that the map really opens up and gives us a view off into the distance. Throughout the game, there will be multiple areas where we emerge from a narrow or enclosed section and we're greeted with a stunning view. Sometimes the purpose of these areas is just to show how small and insignificant we are in this world. Other times, it's meant to show off the incredible engineering capabilities of the people who live on this world. These areas push the player to wonder about the game's world. What kind of wildlife live in this massive body of water? How difficult must it be to maintain machinery this large? And how many lifetimes did it take to build these massive structures? These views are beautiful, they're liminal, and they're one of my favorite aspects of the game. I think this is when the game begins to find its rhythm. We approach new areas, we get into firefights, we explore, we usually have to solve a puzzle or unlock a door, and then the process kind of repeats. A lot of times the mercenaries are just out in the open and they're all going to be equipped with guns. Other times they may be hiding in a ledge above you or below you, and you have to really make sure to check your corners. The Res Secatorum soldiers are equipped with melee weapons, so they run right at you. However, they do ambush you a lot, and I think the ambushes are pretty effective. When the game begins, we start off with a pistol and a knife as our weapons. As we progress, we'll find a shotgun, sniper, and grenades. Ammo is pretty widely available for your guns, but it is pretty easy to blow through the sniper ammo, and then especially grenades. The guns have a good amount of kick, but it's manageable. All bullets and shotgun pellets will leave tracers so you can see directly where they went. You also see a blood mist whenever you hit an enemy. The guns in this game sound more mechanical or pressurized instead of being explosive sounding like a real gun. It's almost like a more metallic sound that you'd hear from a paintball or airsoft gun. My biggest criticism that I have for the combat in this game is that enemies don't react to taking damage from us. The line soldiers who are equipped with the melee weapons run right at you. I think it would add a lot more depth to the game's combat system if they would occasionally take cover, or if they'd at least get staggered whenever we injure them. Having said that, I do think that the combat is pretty fun, even though it's still kind of basic. So after we get through combat encounters, you'll eventually run into a puzzle. Usually this will involve either unlocking a door or figuring out how to traverse through an area. The locked doors will sometimes lead you to a loot room where you can find healing items, ammo, and weapons. The traversal puzzles I think are fun, but not really too difficult overall. Sometimes you'll have to activate a moving platform and then ride that across an area, and then other times you just have to jump across huge distances over a bottomless pit. At the beginning of the game, we equip thrust boots, which allows our character to double jump. Some areas may look too big to jump across at first, but the double jump allows us to cross huge gaps, and we can also survive large drops from elevation. Now we're going to get into spoilers for the story. For the rest of the video, we're going to be discussing the story in detail. Throughout the game, we'll continue to learn about the megastructure and people who live inside of it. For the rest of the game, the story and lore will be revealed through finding tablets, notes, reading terminals, and we even hack into a corpse's memory device. Quickly, let's recap what we learned from the Lion King earlier. While building a dam, the Central Serenian mining group accidentally found an exit from this megastructure. When the Res Secatorum King and his people found out about it, they made a long and perilous journey from the lower levels of the megastructure. While en route to the exit, they were defeated by the mercenaries hired by the mining group. Many of the Res Secatorum soldiers flipped sides during that fight and fought alongside the mercenaries. One tablet that we find states that the mining company uncovered plates and markings that have mentions of cities and countries that they no longer have record of. Most of the game we see relatively modern engineering around us. We can see old highways, buildings that are built with concrete, stuff that you'd see in everyday life. However, there's a couple areas where we see old ruins, and they're all underground. It just shows how long this world has been around. Entire civilizations have been born, lived, and have now been forgotten, all while within the megastructure. It also shows just the breakdown of society that's happening on this world. If the people inside don't have the ability to document their own history, then there's obviously something going wrong within that civilization. Later in the game, we hack into a device that we find on a dead mercenary. On that device, we're able to access one of his memories. In the memory, we can see that he was a guard for the mining company, and he's attending a meeting with their top leadership. A heated argument is occurring. One man states, "Are you mad? Blow it up? The greatest discovery of our age." Another replies, "Consider it. If people start leaving the inner structure, so much of what we've created here will cease in its relevance." Our asset's value will plummet. Another replies, could we really do that? Another man states, we have seen nothing. We know nothing. All that we have ascertained is one of our dams wasn't built to hold and broke under the pressure. From this memory, we learned that the leadership at the mining company is planning to cover up the discovery of the megastructure's exit. They're going to blow up the dam, which will then destroy or flood the exit. Then they'll just tell everyone that it was just an accident. Later on in the game, we find a camp and a cave, and here we read a contract between the Res Secretarium soldiers and the mining company. The contract lists the benefits that the mining company will provide to those soldiers who flip sides during the battle. Several lines from the contract stand out. No heavenly fields awaited us beyond the structure, and no God to fill our empty stomachs. That raises the question, have they just been fooled by the mining company's propaganda, the cover-up story that we just saw them creating, or is there another reason why they don't want to escape anymore? We continue fighting our way to the exit. We find one tablet that documents a correspondence between two leadership members of the mining company. It states, the generally held belief is that there is no such thing as a completely closed structure, a completely isolated system. This would violate the laws of thermodynamics that we understand, not to mention create a simple energy supply problem, in the case of a megastructure as massive as the one we find ourselves trapped in. Therefore, if the megastructure's supposed outer walls have always been far too difficult to drill or bomb through, the hope of finding a maintenance tunnel or ventilation shaft has at least always been present. And it is exactly one of these passages that we believe we have now found. Moving onward, we have one final fight against the mech. We descend down into the interior of the wall of the world, jumping across vast distances. It's a harrowing journey. Eventually, we make our way out though. We have now escaped through the wall of the megastructure. However, it's not what it seems. On the other side of the wall, off in the distance, we see a crimson sphere rotating. It appears to be a planet. Nearby there's a terminal, which provides an explanation. Structure type, counterweight world. Description. A counterweight world is a type of physically smaller, although much heavier megastructure built within a far larger one. Counterweight worlds were created with the purpose of gravitationally binding orbits of planets and other celestial bodies that would find themselves in the way of the outer structure's expansion. Having been created before most of the nearby outer structure, they would restrain and prevent the intruding celestial body from striking its walls or ceiling, thus ensuring the structure's future stability. They were most often built in the very earliest stages of construction, especially in what we now regard as the former inner solar system. A large maintenance team would remain inside these structures. With the megastructure's expansion past the Kuiper Belt, and with maintenance teams having left the structure, contact with many of these counterweight worlds has been lost. As such, it is very difficult for us to verify their present stability. Up until now, we assumed that we are close enough to the outer walls of the megastructure to escape through the newly found exit. However, this final terminal has clarified where we actually are located. The world that we've lived on and journeyed through is merely a massive gravitational support beam within the overall megastructure. This counterweight world that we're on is so massive that the planet off in the distance is orbiting around it. To our dismay, we realize that we are nowhere close to escaping the megastructure. Nearby is an elevator, and we have no clue where it's going to go. We go inside and activate it. The elevator begins and the screen fades to black. This is the message that comes on screen. The gears have not been used in eons, grinding violent resistance against your demand for movement. Before you, millions of miles of concrete and steel stretch out, dwarfing a great crimson spear. You watch as endless tides of hard matter unfold on solid stacked surface, one after another. And as the slow descent of the elevator continues, you begin to glimpse for the first time the true vastness of your escape. Many hours later, the elevator descends to its lowest point, raging oceans of liquid coolant, the industrial towers holding up the ceiling like mythological giants of ancient tales. Finally preparing to leave the elevator and facing an ever stranger landscape, you find the familiar step of your nomadic wandering returning. The promise engraved in every mile traveled that the seeking itself is the answer. The final chapter in this game is an utter gut punch. Our nomadic character has traveled so far and overcome countless dangers along the way. They were promised a way out, an escape from this miserable world, and they were given hope of a better life. And that hope was pulled out from under us, but just temporarily. Let's take a step back from the story for a minute. A lot of times in life, we have a goal that we're working towards, but for whatever reason, we don't achieve it. It could be doing well in school, getting a job that you like, advancing your career. You get the point. Sometimes we don't reach those goals because we make mistakes. Maybe we aren't good enough, or maybe we aren't experienced enough yet. Other times, we may not achieve a goal due to variables that are just out of our control. At those times, it can feel like the world is against us, or making the smallest improvement to your life could be a completely unreachable achievement. But when that happens, if you give up, you'll never get better. You'll never get the experience that you need to improve. Learning through failure is what will make you a more capable person and will equip you with the ability to overcome failure in the future. I say fail away. Set a goal, and set another one, and another one. People say the sky's the limit. Well, for our character in-game, the megastructure's roof isn't even the limit. People will say you can't do it. They will say there isn't an exit to the megastructure. But strive to find one or make one. Set a goal that you think is out of reach, and then learn everything that you can, failing along the way.
And all this time, I wonder, am I getting closer to you, getting closer to you?
At the end of the game, our character thought that they were about to reach their goal of escaping the megastructure. However, they learned the difficult truth that they were nowhere near escaping yet. They could have turned around and accepted that their goal wasn't realistic. Despite the insurmountable odds, they pressed on though. They boarded the elevator, which then would take them to start a new adventure. They decided to keep progressing towards their goal.
And